Hello, today I come to you from Font-Romeu in the mountains in the Pyrenees Oriental, and I spent a couple of days here. Today's my last day here, getting ready to head back on the little yellow train this morning. I thought I would do a walk-along video for you and just kind of talk and share what's on my mind. So what am I seeing? This is the main street of the town, and I stayed at this hotel called the Grizzly, which is right next to this esplanade, which is unfortunate because they have a little amusement ride here, and during the day there is a barker who is amusing the children on this swing ride. And it can be quite annoying because it's constant. You can see a little ride there. But I made do. The owners gave me some earplugs, and one day I went to the library because I was working. I was here on a little bit of a break, but it's a working break. I have this book I'm trying to get done, and this revision is a big one. I'm halfway through the revision and feels really good. I've got this momentum. I can't wait to see how it turns out, so I want to keep going, and I need a little bit of quiet. Now this is the esplanade that I'm talking about, and the hashtag Font-Romeu sign. They have these little chalets. They haven't been open. These are kind of like the chalets that you see at winter markets. So I'm not sure what function they serve here in the summer. I know it's a busy place here because there's a lot of hiking, lots of trails here. Unfortunately, I couldn't take advantage of those trails because, well, one, the weather, but two, a little bit of problem with my ankle. And I think I shared with you in one of my videos that, my morning walks have changed location. I used to go up into the little foothills in my town, and now I just walk in town because there's less of an incline, and I was giving my ankle a rest, and so I didn't dare really continue to work it. But here I'm in the mountains, so everywhere you walk there's a hill. Now across the street is the Cabine. It's a ski lift. So my hotel is great if you're going to come here and ski, because they rent skis, and it's just a hop, skip, and a jump from the ski lift. It's about 7:45, and it is about 42 degrees. It is nippy out here. This morning we had some rain that cooled things off. It's one of the reasons I came here, was to get away from the heat, although the heat broke this week, so in Surrey it's a little bit cooler as well, but not 42 degrees cold. I think it's about 60 degrees there this morning right now. So big temperature difference. It's about a 3-hour drive or 2-hour train ride and an hour drive to get here. So this is the second time I've been here. The first time was 4 years ago, and I came with my friend Baini. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was, how do you get unstuck? Like, a lot of times we have things that we need to do, and we keep putting those things off, things that are important, things that we tell ourselves are important to getting to where we want to go. And oftentimes we delay. And, one thing that I noticed for me and this is probably not the most efficient the way to think about it, is I get sick and tired of being sick and tired. The problem with that is if you wait until you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, the situation might be rock bottom or close to it. And then you make changes and you do what is necessary, because like the fear of staying the same is worse than the fear of the change. But it is effective, and it has helped me to make some changes. Like a month ago, I decided I was going to get back on online dating. And I know some people say it's to be careful, and I am careful. It's not so easy to meet people through people. Most people are coupled and they know couples. But however, I am careful. But one of the things that caused me to say, okay, I'm ready to kind of go back into the jungle and do this thing that doesn't feel easy, that can not necessarily, I haven't had the results that I would like in the past, was that I got sick and tired of always doing things alone, especially around holidays, summertime, going on vacation, all those things. And I recognized that, I could continue to do what I was doing, but I wouldn't necessarily have better luck in not doing things alone. And if I wanted to change that, I needed to do something. And that was just something that I was like, I'm sick and tired of this. I'm ready to do something different. So I got online, created a profile, subscribed for a couple of months, and started putting myself out there. And it's easier this time because my language skills, French language skills, are better. But it's still hard in some ways, looking at the profiles, trying to weed through who might be decent, sending a message, not getting responses, all of that. But the fact of the matter is that pain, that discomfort is far worse than my continuing to not have hope and feel like I'm not going to be alone for the rest of my life. So that's an example. But it's not the most efficient way to necessarily make efficient change before you get to a point where you're like, I can't deal with this anymore. So what's another thing that you can do? Well, a lot of times we don't do things because we are afraid of, isn't it beautiful here? Absolutely gorgeous. So a lot of times we don't do things that we want to do because we think that, if I do this, then what if this happens? Like we go down a path of, what if this happens? I do this, and what if this happens? And we always look at the worst case scenario. We always look at all the problems that could arise if we do this. And so that kind of keeps us stuck in fear, because that's really fear-based. Something that one of my coach trainers suggested is, why not think of the best case scenario? What if I do this and the best thing, or something that even better than what I could even anticipate happens? And shifting that frame that you're putting it in, always looking at what's going to go wrong versus what could go right. So that's one thing. But if you're really just stuck in that cycle of, what if this, I do this, and what if this, then go down that path and say, okay, what would be the worst case if I went ahead and did this thing that I know I want to do, but I'm afraid to? And go and follow that. Well, if I do this, then what is the negative thing that you're thinking could happen? Okay. And then follow that along. And if that happens, then what would happen? What's the next thing that would happen? And you follow that along. How would you respond? Would you be able to respond? and go down that path to see if you can handle the worst case scenario. And I think another thing that you can do is, okay, so you go down the path of the worst case scenario and you say, okay, well, this could happen and I might be able to manage that. Or maybe you say, oh my gosh, that sounds horrible. We'll go down the path of the worst case scenario if you do nothing. Okay, so you want to do this thing. You want to apply for a visa, but you're afraid to because you're afraid you're going to be turned down. Okay. So what happens if you don't apply for the visa? Right? Regardless of what the outcome is, what happens if you don't apply for the visa? Well, if you don't apply for the visa, you're not moving to that country, right? Because that's a requirement of moving to most countries. All right? So either you want to move to the country and you're willing to take that chance of being rejected and go for it, or you're not. It's just not a big enough desire for you. And, you know, you could take that worst case scenario down a path of, okay, what if I go for the visa and I get rejected? Well, okay, what would you do in that situation? Would you question it? Would you say, oh, wait a minute, I think that this is not a good response. I think that you may have not done something appropriately. Would you hire an immigration attorney? Would you just say, oh, okay, they said no? You know, what would you do? And then go down that path. Okay, then you hire an immigration attorney. And then, you know, what might happen? Okay, then you find out the reason why you got rejected. Maybe they thought that you didn't have a good income requirement or whatever, right? And then what would you do? Would you work to get another source of income? Would you work to get more savings? What would you do, right? Follow that path. And then say, oh, you know, I think I could deal with that, or no, I don't think I could deal with that. And then take action. But in this way, you're taking action or not taking action from a place of being intentional, not having it be the default that you don't do things that scare you because you're afraid. So those are 2 tips on how you can move through things that you procrastinate with, that you hem and haw, that you kick down the road, that you tell yourself that you really want to do. The first way is not the best way, but it can get you to where you want to be, where that is where you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you then go ahead and do the thing that you've been putting off. But the second one is doing the what if, worst case scenario for the negative path, and the best case scenario for the positive path. And then make a decision to take a small action so that you can move forward. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. My coaching tip for today. Just simply gorgeous here. I should have put my gloves on. My hands are getting really cold. Now, during the day, it's quite busy. It's the middle of August, so people are still on vacation, and there are lots of kids, and the sidewalks are pretty narrow, so it can be a challenge to walk down that main street in particular. But I got out early enough so that I could film and be able to think and not have to dodge too many people. Now, this is a boulangerie that I went to, and it is a happening place. Like, there was a line maybe 10 deep out the door when I went, and it's really good. This is the Carrefour that I did my grocery shopping at. There's this big hotel called the Grand Hotel, and they had a guided tour yesterday. I tried to get tickets to go, but they were sold out. And you can see the corner of it at the top. It's probably really magnificent inside, but I won't know, at least not this time. They have a casino, a discotheque, a cinema. Just spectacular views, and the air is so fresh and clean. Well, I think I am going to end this walk along video here. I'm gonna head back to my hotel, get something to eat, catch my breath. And then head on to get the little yellow train. And I do have some footage of that I will share with you in another video, where I'll do a voiceover on another topic. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.